Anybody see Mike out there? Okay.
No,
No, I didn't.
I will go ahead and let's call the meeting to order. We'll wait for Mike when he gives his report. Hopefully he's here by then. You want to do roll call, Becky?
Bob Olson,
Here.
John Nicholson,
Here.
Mike Copine, Jim Sheeline,
Here.
Chris Norberg,
Here.
Doug Parser.
Here.
Thank you. We'll go to, did everybody get a chance to look at the minutes of last month's meeting? Is there any corrections, changes? Yeah, let's do that. I'll take a
I'll make
motion.
a motion.
Second. Got a first by John, second by Jim. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. We'll go to visitor section. Marilyn?
No.
Team, you got anything? B, do you have anything?
You could wait.
Anything for us? No? You're good? Okay. Courtney?
Can I give a little intro?
Sure,
for you?
absolutely.
We're gonna go back down to the extension time on Junction Solar.
What number is that or what?
That's under new business E.
Okay.
So I've submitted a resolution to you for a request to extend the date for building permits for Junction Solar. Just a little background, in 2019, the county board approved petition 19P 1545 for the utility size solar farm in Alto and Reynolds Township. The provisions to approve the petition stated that the project must be established or substantially underway within 3 years of the date the special use was granted. County code further clarifies that the county board may extend this 3-year period for such a time as it shall determine for good cause and without further hearings before the zoning board of appeals or the county board. This is not the first time that a petitioner has requested a time extension, and it is not an uncommon request for such large projects such as Junction Solar.
Right.
And I believe in 2016, the Green River Wind Farm also asked and was granted a 2-year extension to complete their project. So I've asked Attorney Kennedy to representing Junction Solar to come here and explain to you what they are requesting to do.
Awesome. Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Dee. So as she noted, I'm here on behalf of Junction Solar LLC, and with me at today's meeting is Amber Miller. And we are essentially seeking a 2-year extension to May 21st of 2024 for the project to become substantially underway. To give you a little bit of a background and to remind those who maybe weren't at the finance meeting, Junction Solar is a 100 megawatt solar farm project to be situated on 758 acres in Alto and Reynolds Township. The project has faced some delays that I believe are not attributable to the company itself. There's been some significant delay due to COVID, and then other delays related to PJM and ComEd. It is the company's position. We believe that we are substantially underway. However, in working in conjunction with Dee's office, we believe that this is the cleanest route to get an extension from the county board, get it on paper moving forward. And we believe that the project would become substantially underway in May of 2024 if it's not already. So I'm just here to answer any questions that anybody might have and happy to entertain anything.
Ready? Thank you.
So before we move on, Bob, I had asked the question to Dee, whether or not, because who knows, we may have more of these extensions. So Junction Solar, that's Stewart, right? That's which one? I get
Yes.
confused.
Yes.
Because we say Alto and I got,
Alto and Reynolds.
okay, where's my townships at?
Up in the
Because
corner.
we also have the other one, the 700, the Gittleson Solar. Is that one
Gittleson.
underway?
That's the one you're talking about.
That's the one.
That's
That's
the
the
one we're-
Gittleson.
that's the one
Okay,
we're talking about here.
All right, I'm good.
Yeah. Any more questions? Thank you. All right.
Could I have
We'll go
a-
to-
could I have a motion on that?
Want a motion to do that, get it out of the way,
Um,
down the line.
Yeah.
ways.
Mike, go ahead.
Pete, did you have a question?
I'm just requesting a motion.
12.
All right, so 12E, I'd entertain a
I'll
motion. All
make a motion, we do that 2-year extension.
right, John, first, do I have a second?
Second.
Jim seconds it. Any more discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Put it on the agenda. All right, we'll go to,
I'm done with that one.
we got other stuff coming here.
Okay.
Let's go to reports from county chairs. We'll start with Mike.
Public safety met yesterday morning. Meeting as usual. Bills were approved or the claims were approved for payment. Most of the meeting pertained to new business, which was replacement hires by the sheriff, staffing request by the sheriff, and UTV discussion. I'm not going to highlight on that. It did take a little while. If you have any questions, you're welcome to ask. I'll answer if I can.
No questions?
Did Mr. Sacchetti talk to you, talk to your committee? Mark Sacchetti? Okay, interesting.
What
Constituent that's upset over the UTV. He lives on Lowell Park Road and he complains that the noise is running up and down the road. Yeah,
Well, there's lengthy, I will admit that there's lengthy discussion yet to be conducted probably over the next 30, 60 days before, something is fine tuned as far as the UTV. So,
Yeah, we'll address that farther down the agenda. I think we'll probably recommend to wait another 30 days because we got a lot of questions with it yet. So. Questions for Mike? Go to Doug, transportation.
We met last Monday and Amboy 8 a.m. Everything. They had a bridge fail, the deck on a bridge, so we had to have was let out to bids. We went the lowest. There was only 2 companies that bid it. Otherwise, it was a pretty short meeting.
All right. Questions? Thanks. Jim, finance?
sure. We just met this morning and I think pretty much everybody was here. It was a nice long meeting. And the main thing is that we think that we're going to have our last budget workshop meeting scheduled Wednesday at 8 o'clock. So if anybody's interested in coming, they're more than welcome. And we're hoping to wrap things up there. The other thing we passed on, of course, the Joseph Meyer resolutions, the 2 items on the ARPA, which was the expanded parking of the LEC and the election equipment. And we did pass on to executive the tech boarding change with Berglund. And that's all I had.
So your budget won't be ready for board this time around, full board. We got time one more
I
month.
think we've got, so we'll make all the deadlines.
Okay, because we gotta lay it over a month, so.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
I do have something. I commend you and your committee for what you're doing. You've got a tough road to hoe with it and watching you here this afternoon or this morning. I commend you for the way you ran your meeting. So I am not jealous of you at all.
Well, thank you. I thought it went actually pretty smooth, for this morning. It's, we still have, a hard, decision to make in regards to the sheriff's request, but I think, he came and gave some good information and I think we're getting there. So.
how many items you got left to decide? I mean, your punch list.
The as far as the punch list goes, so to speak, and I think we put to bed the minimum wage discussion. I think that got taken care of. And so basically we have the personnel requests of the sheriff, but I think we've moved that along but that's the last heavy lift that we have to do. Then everything else will fall into place.
Awesome. Any questions for Jim? Marilyn, do you have one?
No.
Okay. Yes.
I just want to say, I apologize. I wasn't aware that it's Doug Forster now in charge of transportation. So I apologize. That is incorrect on the agenda, which I will correct for next week.
I'll sleep to it. Maybe.
All right, John, properties?
Yeah, we met 10 o'clock on Tuesday, delayed because of the holidays. We reviewed and passed all the claims, had some issues going to the zoning board, coming from the zoning board, and Dee will be discussing them a little later.
Old business gave an update on the courthouse tuck pointing, which is coming quite well. They're basically on the south side and going. We passed a committee and boardroom rental agreement, which is not coming, which is the done deal with properties. And then we had a long lengthy discussion on repurposing the old LEC, which is an ongoing project. And to continue on that, I met with Greg Saunders, with Scott Brown, who works for Wendler. He's given us a structural integrity report. And hopefully I'll have that by board meeting. Passed some resolutions. Had a good discussion with John, I guess, well, he's back there, on use of some of the maintenance buildings, 5 stalled over there with storage for the EMA and some alternatives as to what can happen there. And then we approved the change order for Bergen, which finance did too, and that's all, unless somebody has questions.
Any questions? Thank you. Chris, admin?
Yep, we met on Tuesday, I guess. Couple of things to report. Regional superintendents, I usually don't talk about ROE very much, but they are definitely up to it in COVID and everything that they're doing. They're pushing through. They've got a lot of truancy issues and always want to highlight that. So Chris has got his work cut out for him right now, but he's steering the ship, and really proud to see him taking ownership of what he's doing there. And the other additional thing is the GIS department is currently going to get their reports from Tom O'Malley. Tom's the senior GIS, and thought he did a fantastic job. I'm really excited to learn a little bit more about GIS in our committee, how it runs and the functionality that it can serve to all the other committees. Everything else that we're going to talk about, rules and procedures, the claims procedure, are going to be discussed later. And we had 0 COVID numbers for the month of August for the county. So we did fantastic there. So that's all I got.
Questions?
I had one question. I was going to ask you in the committee, and it slipped past the 0 COVID. We had no new cases.
We had no new cases, and we had no of county employees in the month of August. So we're always a month behind when it comes to
for sure.
reporting. But I think the previous month we had 2 employees for 4 or 5 days, but as of August we had 0.
It's gonna be the first month since it started, right?
Absolutely, yeah. So
That's why I asked.
Yeah, that's good
We always
news.
seem to have one.
and there's always, so that's really a good thing.
Yep. Speaks highly of the cautiousness that's
Right.
going around. Yeah.
All right. No questions for him. We'll move on to the monthly claim sheet. Everybody get a chance to look at it, sign it. I entertain a motion to approve it.
So
Jim.
Moved by
Mike seconds
Sheila.
second.
it. Any questions about it? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. We'll go to number 6, petitions coming to the zoning board of appeals is none. Number 7. D, you want to jump in here? Petitions coming from zoning board of appeals. I think we have a new list. It's just,
Little confusion on these petitions. The zoning board met last Thursday, the 2nd, and voted to recommend approval for a map amendment to the following petitions: petitions 21 P 1567, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 75, and 76. 2 petitions, petitions 21 P 1573 and 74, owned by the same landowner, was denied the Ag 1 map amendment by the zoning board. The zoning board did question why 7 parcels on the corner of 251 and 30 were considered for map amendment due to that particular location as being very appealing for development. So after reviewing the members' discussion on the viability for future development at that intersection, I would like to withdraw my request for map amendments on these 7 parcels. 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, and 74. Upon further discussion at the ZBA over the adult entertainment establishment at the corner of 251 and 30, the zoning board recommends that these 2 parcels zoning remain based on the efforts given in testimony by the current property owner, and would like to see the new owner reporting every 3 months to me on the progress being made at the adult entertainment establishment giving the owner a chance to continue the use. I passed around a prepared business plan from the new owner of the adult entertainment establishment, and I will be updated quarterly in the future. The ZBA approved 8 map amendments and denied 15, 73, and 74. I would like to, would like to withdraw.
So you're withdrawing B, C, D, E, F, and G, and H.
Correct.
69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 73.
All right, so I think we were gonna put on the agenda just 3, correct?
1567, 1575, and 1570.
Correct.
Okay. Agree with that?
And I'll make a motion to do that.
A second, we got Chris seconds it.
You want me to give numbers, D?
Nope.
I can rattle them out
No,
pretty
that's all
fast.
right.
I just,
So just as long as we'll have it in the record.
Becky will know.
Yeah. Any more discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. No petitions coming to the planning commission. No petitions coming from the planning commission. So we'll go down to the announcement, acknowledgement. You went? Yeah, we're working on that.
Do you want to add it too?
No, I don't. Not this time. Won't be ready. So we got Bobby Thompson, 25-year plaque presentation. Angel Little Pop. I think Kathy's gonna come over and do that. I'll do Bobby's unless somebody else wants to. Put that on the agenda. Any discussion about that? Let's go to old business. I think I went to talk to the sheriff about this. The ordinance regarding the non-highway vehicles in the county of Lee. It's been held over since August. John?
Bob, did you mention on the 25-year anniversary is Julie Morgan?
No, I didn't have that, but we can put that in there. I remember that now. Are they ready for that or?
I emailed them, asked if you were gonna do it, if I were, and I never heard back from you, so I didn't put it on.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought I sent it back. Yeah, we'll have a plaque and she's gonna be here.
Okay, so let's put her on there too then.
I'm sorry, what's your name?
Julie Morgan.
Julie Morgan?
Thanks, John.
I'm sorry, 25 years also?
Yep.
Thank you.
And you do the plaque, right?
I've got it. All right, let's go to 11A, the ordinance. I don't think we're ready for this. I think we need to table it when we pull it off the 30-day wait period. I think we got a lot of questions yet to be settled. John, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. We talked at length of public safety about it and I'm not opposed to it at all. I just think there's some things that we need to, if you want to form a committee of sort, we got some information from other counties that are kind of trying to do the same thing and Dave Anderson and Charlie certainly into the mix so that we know that we're doing everything we should be doing. I just don't want the county to pass an ordinance and then find out 2 or 3 months down the road that financially we're on the hook for several more things than we thought we would be. And might be a lot more expensive until we, so to speak, get our ducks in a row.
Yeah. There's some questions about the liability with the townships or insurance liability going up. Chris can speak to that.
Yeah, so as township supervisor, and we're definitely, people are reaching out to me. We're gonna have to carry additional liability insurance as a township, so figuring out, waiting on a quote to actually get that even. Yep, so Torma's.
Torma is re-rating the townships.
They are.
That do the UTV ordinance.
Correct. And so that's the
Interesting.
question that we have for Wendy to do some research on too, is our insurance going to require the same thing? So there's a lot of stuff. I think we leave it on. We'll just make a motion to table it again for another 30 days.
Yeah, I think we got to leave it on the agenda. So I don't
Correct.
think, we'll just leave it on the agenda and then we'll have to table it.
Yep.
And we might as well, I want to make sure we do it right. Yes, Ms. Scobie.
Mr. Chairman, with the information that the sheriff provided yesterday with items that could be involved in all of this to fine tune it, I'm just curious, or is somebody already assigned to do that, or do we need an ad hoc committee that might be?
We've got an ad hoc committee. I don't remember who the 3 we put on that.
Okay.
Becky with the resolution. Oh, we didn't, okay. Well, I thought Wendy had one for us, so. We do have three to put on it, but I don't know who they are right now. We got committees to
And neither
about
do
committees
they.
right now, so I mean, so I'm gonna have.
Subcommittees, the subcommittee.
Jack Sprogstad, Tom Wilson, Daniel.
Yes, them are the three. So, but if somebody wants to volunteer to be on there, jump up here, because he's got a punch list of 10, 12 questions that we need to answer. And that's just what we're thinking of right now. So,
Okay, thank you.
hands up there, no?
No.
Okay. All right, they've asked them, right? We asked them. Okay,
I asked for something else.
all right. All right, let's keep moving on then. Redistricting, election and census data.
It stays on there.
Stay- Yeah, we leave it on the agenda. Nancy, you want to talk to us about that?
That's where we're at.
Nancy, just as an FYI, the B on, that you're showing on your county board meeting was removed. That's just an internal document. So scratch that one off and yeah, then we're up to you.
See, this is the
Didn't
agenda.
work right the first time.
This is the one we're
Try
using,
again.
Nancy, all right?
Laugh and go on.
I've been there. I've been there a lot of times,
Oh, shoot.
There's two agendas. Yeah.
It confused me every time.
I
The
know.
only update I have is on redistricting, and the girls in my election department are presently working on that very digitally with Thomas O'Malley from the GIS department. So they're not going to have the 100% the right numbers until the end of the month, but they have started that process, which is a long process, but
What's the date? Do we have to have it done by?
that's a good question.
Okay.
I'll have to check on that.
No, I know there's a date, drop that date for that.
Because the census data came in, it came in last month, but it's not the user-friendly one, and the actual, the user-friendly one will be available September 30th, but we've gotten information from different entities that they're able to actually start it.
I think I seen an email where they extended that date anyhow, right? Or
Yeah.
So
So I apologize, I don't have that date on the top of my brain.
Do we want that on the agenda? I'd take, as long as there's no action or, I think.
So just a comment, I had a long conversation with Tom Demmer the other day and how this has become such a cluster. And especially for anybody that wants to run for a statewide or state office, state representatives, senator, all that. The maps are of course being challenged by the Republican Party and the Latino caucus. The Latinos are very upset over the way the second map was drawn, even worse than they were upset over the first map. So this is all being handled in federal court. There's a possibility, there's a legal argument that both groups are making that the federal judges, the panel and it's a federal judge from Wisconsin, Indiana, and Illinois is going to be the final arbiters of the map. If they do that, the question was, the judges asked the question, what's our latest drop dead date to have the maps out? And the answer was January 15th. So this uncertainty may last into next year, which is going to really, for your office, what a nightmare. So hang in there and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and they're not scheduled to hear that until like the 23rd or 26th of this month. So
The primary's already been extended out, am I correct?
Correct.
Well, until we get more information, I wouldn't put it on the agenda.
No.
All right. Let's go to 11C, updated claims procedure.
you can take it off because it's going to be in the resolution for board rules and procedures. So it's redundant. Would you agree, Wendy?
Yeah, the current version you've got for the updated board rules, I just have a placeholder for that because if you recall, we're trying to work with Paula and Nancy and staff to make sure we recommend something that's feasible. So that's kind of it's in a holding pattern until we can get Paula done with collection, et cetera. So but I'd say take it off the agenda for right now and at least as a standalone item, and we'll get back to you on it.
All right. Anybody got a problem with that? Thank you. Let's go to new business, the 17 Joseph Meyer resolutions. Want that on the agenda? Somebody asked me earlier if that costs us or if we make money on that, and Nancy, I checked with her and they just do it for us. So it's no cost, and of course they make money on the auction. Let's go to new business, B, election equipment bid and update. Nancy, you wanna? It was approved in finance through the ARPA funds. So I think, do we want to put that on the agenda? I mean, she's got a good deal, 190 some thousand for, I mean, I think we need to do it.
It's coming,
It's not in the budget, so I think we probably should, it's a different.
it's a different animal since it's
Yeah.
actually ARPA money. It'd probably be cleaner since the finance committee approved the
Yeah.
ARPA recommendation.
Let's
to
do
have
it
the
for
full board
transparency
do it.
and-
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I have no
So-
objection.
And she's happy with who you decided, and they were the low bid, correct?
Yes, and I think I made that clear to you, Bob, too. I'm not sure that, I just wanted to make sure that the county was on the same board as I was to go with, and I gave you each a copy at your desk of the two bids that came through. And I just wanted to make sure that the county was on the same board as I am to go with Liberty Systems, which was the 197,750.
What was the other bid? I don't,
GBS, which is the current company that we have right now, they came in at 217,095.
well, they come around, at first they were 450,000. Amazing what that happens when you bid things out,
That is correct.
They must have found some way to do it cheaper, huh? If that's something, yeah, bid it, yeah, no kidding. Let's just keep going. All right, thanks, Nancy. We'll definitely put that on the agenda. Resolution of board rules and procedures and revisions. There's a lot going on there. Are we comfortable with doing that right now? Or do we want to take another 30 days to?
I'd like to see that table. There's question by many of us as to who has the authority to do that, which committee, and I'd like to see a table for at least 30 days.
Per what we talked about in ad service, it's just a recommendation out of ad service. Finance or executive has the final say of whether or not they want to push it through to the full county board, right? And that's per what Charlie said.
Conversation this morning is to get together sometime, have a working committee meeting and
Yeah.
hash some of this stuff out.
I'd like to have when we get done today, we'll get a date for a working meeting someday with executive committee. We've got a lot of,
Some pretty radical changes in there.
well, not only that, we got some other stuff we need, besides some direction in the county, so.
I just know that as we want to get it done, we're up, not necessarily up against the deadline, but if we want to change what the proposal is in there, we have until the November meeting. Because at November, we're going to set the agenda or the dates for the next year's meeting and the consolidation of properties. We want to, why do something twice type of thing. So
So it's a resolution, so we want to hold it over. so we can
Correct.
Vote on it that day.
Yep. And I'm gonna make a motion that we put it on the agenda. I think it's ready to go personally. We've been discussing this for 3 months now in our committee. And
And Chris, I will reject that idea.
well,
It
I
hasn't been- I've been
John,
to every
I made
one
a
of your-
motion, so you
I've been
can,
to your
All right,
answer.
let's see if there's a second, then we'll discuss it. So is there a second for that, or?
I'll second. So we
Okay.
can talk-
Now let's get it out and let's
Thank you.
discuss it.
Okay, I've been to every one of your ad services meetings, and the last one is the only one where you ever proposed it. You've kicked it around once maybe, but no definitive numbers, names. And the radical changes are you're eliminating the properties committee, property zoning, reassigning everybody else. And not only that, but if you take your board rules at this point, it's not under the authority of the ad services committee to do that.
Charlie, would
Simple
you
as
like
that.
to,
So we need to have a committee to get.
would you like to
together and talk.
readdress that?
What's that?
Okay, thank you. So back to the same conversation that we made the recommendation to executive, which is this committee that can make the recommendation to the county board to put it on. If anybody in this committee wants to make changes, but I made the motion to put the current board rules and procedures on the agenda for next week's meeting. Mr. Sheline seconded it.
Well, now we're discussing it. Mike, what's your views on this? Does everybody understand what we're doing on that too? That's the other. If everybody understands how the committee structure's gonna change.
be honest with you, I'm not uncomfortable with what we have right now. I can see some of the changes that are involved. One that I'm not comfortable with as far as the claims and everything, you know, at the $2,500 breaking point, and then Wendy having to put another hat on. I think she's got enough the way it is, and that's just one of the points. I'm questionable. I'm on the line on that right now.
All right, Doug, you got any? All right, Jim?
So the question I had is the in-person attendance pursuant to the Open Meetings Act. And I'm saying, what was changed there? Because this language is basically the Open Meetings Act.
We didn't even have it in there.
Oh, so you just lifted it from OPA over,
Yes.
or
that's-
OMA, sorry.
Yes, correct.
So I just want to make sure that, you know, one of the things that we've learned through the COVID is that attending meetings through Zoom is a real deal. Did we change as far as, now it says that you can attend if you've got physical ailments. Now does this include voting rights and per diem payment? I just want clarification. on what we're
It
doing.
would, as long as you qualify, and Wendy can.
Yeah, it would, if you are, as long as the committee and or the full board has a quorum, so you have to have a quorum in place, then a member can attend remotely and qualify for per diem. And again, this is your decision, but the way it's written right now
Right.
is they would qualify for per diem and they could vote if they were not here for one of the reasons listed there. And that literally was lifted from Open Meetings Act, just as you said, Jim. So we have the latitude to include that in our board rules. As Chris said, we haven't before. So at this point in time, if you aren't here in person, absent the governor's executive order, you don't get per diem and you don't get to vote if you're not sitting in this room. This changes that and allows you to vote for those reasons that are in the Open Meetings Act. My understanding is we can't expand upon those reasons, but we can allow those reasons that are in the Open Meeting Act.
So who's gonna decide on the reasons? I know.
Yeah,
they're
but
right-
who's going to make the executive decision?
I know they're right there, but there's some gray area in them. And so who's gonna decide that?
And I imagine that's going to come down to the chair and to the chair.
Hello.
Chair.
I can already see some gray area that we're gonna have some issues with.
Well, I can throw one out myself.
That's the one I'm thinking about, so, you
I'm
know.
down in Florida and I'm maintaining rental property and I'm calling, you guys are watching palm trees in the background and you're giving me grief. What are you
You're
gonna do?
maintaining,
Well,
you're-
we-
you're
yeah.
main- maintaining rental property. That's what you're
Well,
doing.
we've
down there.
continued-
That's what I'm doing now. Shut up.
I agree with, I agree with Bob. There's going to be there's definitely going to be gray area to this. The option and the only way to make this black and white is to say, yep, nope, if you're not sitting in this room, you're not going to get to vote and you're not going to get per diem. So this is the only way to expand this and allow some flexibility.
Yeah, I
So
don't like
really, and I, we're gonna have to deal with those issues and that's always, that's just part of, just like per diem issues, and
I wanna see that tool belt on when you're in the Zoom. You gotta have the tool belt on or something.
yeah, okay, have a drill in my hand.
So-
But the other thing is, the strict language here also, okay, so we have a committee meeting. And I've got finance committee and I don't have a quorum, but I got a quorum if I include the two guys on Zoom. And according to that language, we can't, that's not I don't have a quorum.
Correct.
And again, remember, that's Open Meetings Act. That's not even what we're
So we
proposing for you.
can't expand upon this, so we can't make that if.
Well,
Okay.
I'm shaking my head, but yes, I
try.
want you to turn. Right, thank you.
You were supposed to nod back there, because I see that as a problem, and I think that's something we're gonna have to communicate to the state, because, I can see that as a problem going forward.
And as we want to continue to get younger, and as we've said, or people, like, gives them the opportunity that if I'm in Peoria on a meeting, that I can still be part of the decisions that are happening on county board. It's just the reality.
I
what
think
happens.
everybody would agree that, COVID opened the door to this and we found out that we can do it and we can do it effectively. So I would think that it would be on the state's radar already, but in the meantime, with the Open Meetings Act, the way it's written, this is the maximum flexibility we can offer.
On the current executive order, open it up to Zoom meetings, but you don't get the per diem and the vote.
Well, the current executive order has been revoked, so there is no executive order now. And in fact, following our own board rules at this moment in time, which might be another reason to talk about trying to do something sooner rather than later, because right now, if someone is not physically present in this room under our own board rules, they cannot participate. Well, they can listen in for sure, but they can't vote and they can't get per diem.
I'm going back to it and what? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Tom being an example. He's stuck at home, just.
Right, right.
And then so that's one change. The other change that I don't know if you guys caught in it that I'll highlight is the executive committee. There's 2 additional positions. It's always been the group of chairs. There's 2 additional committee members that can be appointed by the chair. That is, in my mind, and talking to Mr. Olson, it's kind of a funnel for people who you see wanting to serve in more of a leadership role. So that way they can continue to get experience. They can see more rules, more committees, more things like that. It's not somebody that has to sit here. But if he chooses to see somebody who's demonstrating the ability that wants to be a leader, then they can also put that in. So I wanted to call that out, just in case anybody did see that.
Yeah, I have no, there was 2 other things that I had that I caught. Of course, there was one having to do with the property liability insurance committee. So I hadn't had a chance to talk to you about this. I was, and this language, this language gives me that ability. I was thinking of just using the finance committee as committee of the whole for general, we could adjourn and have a quick insurance meeting, but I appreciate having that structure in there. The other thing, and Chris, did you guys talk about? So as I was looking through, the one thing that caught my eye and I'm not looking for a pay increase. I look at this as community service and I'm here and you all know that. But when we talked about bringing new members on and all that, $60 per diem for the service that we do is it's a joke for the number of hours. I mean, I'm going to be here for 5 hours, and it's ridiculous. So I'm just raising that issue. I don't know when the last time per diem had been looked at, when the last time has changed. I just asked if you guys looked at that, talked about changing that, because that time frame is coming out.
Absolutely. I didn't want to, it's the same thing. It's a hot topic for me too, because I'm here, not for the per diem. I'm here because I want to move the county forward. So the $60 for me it's table stakes. I didn't even know I was getting paid when I started. So, and we continue to ask our county employees to do more with less. If I raised it to just say $75, we've got 24 board members. That's additional money that can be going to another deputy or stuff like that. So I'm willing to take a decrease to put another deputy on the road. So I agree with you that, man, it probably should pay more, but until I just have heartburn over raising my pay when
I agree with you, but when we're trying to get new board members come on, you need to entice them with something.
I think you're in the minority. Granted, I'm here because I just want to do it. And I'm like you, I didn't think I was even getting paid to start out. But people are going to entice new people, younger people. They're going to balance out time and service. And you'll find that more and more with younger people. They're not as quick to volunteer as they were when I was young.
To answer Jim's question, Jim, it's been at least 20 years since that, and maybe back much further. That's just my involvement. My level of involvement goes back, that it's been $60 for at least 20 years.
I got when I came on the board 20 years ago.
Yep, that's what I was gonna say too. I've been on since '04 and it's been 60.
Yeah, I was here the first trip around when I was on the board when that was changed, went from 50 to 60.
Do you remember when was that?
Remember who made the motion? It was Marvin and Ike Mercer. I'll never forget it. At the time the chairman got a raise and they made a motion, well, the chairman's getting a raise, we're all gonna get a raise.
94, 95, 1994 or 95.
Yeah, so it's been quite a while. Speaking of the chairman's salary, I'm sure the chairman would be very uncomfortable with me pointing this out, but those of you that have been the chairman in this room, you know how much time that takes too. That might be something you want to think about as well. That's currently $6,000 a year. And Bob and I have not talked about this, and he would be very uncomfortable to be talking about this, but it's something you should think about for future chairman.
I think you deal with that on the next chairman.
Surely amazing how much.
And
time
you
it
honestly
takes
would
for-
deal with it at the next chairman, because changing this has to go with the election cycle. So it would be, even the $60 is going to be the next election cycle. This could not go into effect until next year, December of 2022, FYI.
Well, this brings me back. I know we got a first and a second, we're discussing it, but do we need a working meeting to hammer this stuff out and do a flow chart on how committees are gonna?
There's a lot on here, Bob. But one of the things that Chris and I discussed early on as to why they were reviving some of this stuff is that they were worried that with the reduction of the board to 20 people, we wouldn't have enough people to spread around all these committees. And yet, under section standing committees, you're actually increasing the number of people on each committee.
Well, we understand that, but in a year from December, we're gonna have a new board set and we're gonna have 20. Then I want us to get used to it, so it's not a culture shock. when
Oh,
we get
no,
there.
no, I understand that part.
You're saying from the 5 to 7?
Yeah, 5 to 7.
But
You were
there's
worried we couldn't
currently-
get 5 people with 20 board members. Now you're increasing it to 7.
But all the committees currently have 7, John.
Well,
So,
they shouldn't. They really
I
should
think it
not.
says 6 on our book, doesn't it? Or-
no, it says 5.
Says 5.
Okay.
There's 5 right in the manual. And the 5, I'm not doubting the 7. In fact, Marilyn and I agonized over how to get people that had the right talents to each committee and still get everybody 2 committee assignments.
The reason for 5 to 7, it gives the chair the dexterity to appoint. If Road and Bridge only needs 5 qualified people down there, but let's be honest, finance probably needs 7.
Right, but it
It
says
gives-
right here, it shall consist of
Shall-
7.
No, it should say shall consist of,
7.
what page number are you on?
13.
We can't do 7 with a 20-member board. Yeah.
It was hard enough to get 5.
Yeah, that should, yep, so that should be a change that said standing committee shall consist of 5 to 7 members. So it should be 5 to 7.
I'll change that, Chris,
Thank you.
right now.
Back to Bob's suggestion, I think we do need a working day or 2 to kick some of this stuff around. There's some pretty dramatic changes in here.
Any other
We've got a
discussion?
motion in a second.
Yeah, I don't know. Any other discussion? Got a motion on the table. So all those in favor to pass this to the full
Okay.
board, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed,
No,
No,
I'd probably say no too. So.
Now we're tied.
Yes, so Charlie, now what do we do? So. It's 3-3.
You want a roll call?
Yeah, let's roll call it.
Bob Olson,
I would say no.
John Nicholson,
no,
Mike Copine,
oh,
Jim Sheeline,
Yes.
Chris Norberg,
Yes.
and Doug Parson.
Yes.
Interesting. So,
So
but
should-
it doesn't pass, so it dies for lack of,
Yeah.
So we won't put it on the agenda, but let's get a working day plan, because there's a list we need to go through, a checklist.
I bet it turns out the same too.
You know it's gonna flip around. Ain't no kidding. All right, I like what you did, Chris. I mean, I'm all about it. There's just some things that I want to make sure everybody understands what we're doing, so there's no questions later. Let's go to D, 12D, the tuck pointing change order. Do we need that on the, I would say,
no,
we-
that's pretty much, well, yes, we do, because we need to approve it. It
yeah,
was approved in finance, so we need to have it on the order, the board to approve.
yep, I think we need to do that. You'll be prepared, or you or
Yes.
Tom will discuss it when we get
Tom
there?
will be here,
Okay.
not,
All right, definitely want that on the agenda. Let's go to the resolution regarding the extension of a special use permit. We already did that.
already did
Yep,
that.
Yep. What?
Just whipping through all
I
this.
know,
Yeah.
I'm ready to, resolution, moratorium on battery energy storage systems.
This is the first I've seen this. What, did we have that? This was in our packet?
No, I don't. do
No, I
that.
think, yeah, so I think,
It's on there.
I was probably,
Where was that at? Because I didn't have a chance. I didn't see this.
I think they talked about it in properties.
Yeah, let's talk about properties, past and properties. in a second, sure.
So I've had some contact with some businesses that, so they're good on the solar, they're gonna put these battery storage devices in, they're like the size of a container, shipping container. And they've got a lot of, they're all climate controlled and they got their own fire suppression system on them. But really, I had a company reach out to me about building a battery storage farm. And so we really don't have an ordinance for that. And so I kind of want to put a moratorium on this till we decide how we're going to tax them, how we're going to decide whether they want a foundation on them.
Just to
or something.
regulate,
Yeah.
just to regulate them.
Yeah.
We have nothing. So
Yeah.
I want to
Well,
kind of
that's what-
slow the horse down here and put a moratorium for at least 6 months is what I'm proposing. So we can really study this because it's so new technology that
And so we've got a committee, you're going to see down farther that will study this and make recommendations to planning. And then it'll come around to zoning, right? Is that how you want to do that?
planning could handle it if we have a ad hoc. Is
Yeah.
that what we're talking? Yeah.
No, that, I'm fine with the explanation. I thought, sometimes, there was discussion over some of the farms that we had passed. There was discussion that they had battery storage and they didn't.
Right.
And I didn't know if there
Because
was
it's
a
so
knee jerk
new, they don't
reaction.
even know.
I
Yeah.
get it. Yeah. No
So
objection.
not to pick apart,
Proactive.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stay on top of this.
Nope.
not to
all
pick
about that.
apart the 6 months, because I think I'm the one that said 6 months to start out with, but maybe we need 90 days because this sounds pretty cruel, like we're not for this, 90 days. And if we don't get it done in the 90 days, we can circle back and do it again. I just don't want, I don't want industry to think that we don't want them by 6 months,
We can lift the moratorium
anytime.
anytime. So just, it's already written at 6 months. If we get through it in the renewable energy at 90 days, then we can make the recommendation to lift it then. Correct, Charlie? So it's already done and in the.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, but these are about the size of a semi-trailer.
Yep.
And so they will stand out in scenery. So it's not only that, but there's good permitting possibilities there, and I think they should be permitted and have certain standards.
We have a couple of things, and Dee, do you want to expand on what's going on over at Nelson, the solar hydro?
Got the hydro plant that's coming out at Nelson. They want to attach a solar field onto that, which is acting
They're gonna produce,
So would you like
for
to?
the
yes,
natural gas. Yeah.
Solar, they can take solar energy, convert it into hydrogen. Hydrogen then goes into their peaker plant to make it run more efficiently. Ideal, so
So
that's,
this isn't separate from.
yeah, this is,
No.
this is total.
The
There's a lot
problem
of,
is-
there's a lot of stuff out there we need to get our arms
the
around.
other issue is that
Um,
there are hydrogen solar plants that will potentially be coming because we
Yes.
have the interstate access and everything, so we need to discuss that. A hydrogen solar plant wants about 1,000 acres of solar to convert it solar into hydrogen. At that point, they'll either put it on a rail system or on a truck and ship it to wherever they need to. And
Had not heard anything.
it's
about
really
this.
cool technology.
Yeah.
And so
And
I
it's
actually had a
all coming
meeting.
at us
And
really
it's coming
fast.
at
We've
us
got natural gas pipelines coming in here that we're not ready for.
Exciting times.
Yeah,
Something
so
like that.
down in the appointments, you'll see a resolution for Renewable Energy Committee, and they're gonna be tackling them issues, hopefully, and recommending stuff.
And I'm full for that. My office is swamped
Yeah, and then there's
now. and
so
we
many
just
different
cannot-
things coming that we need to, and go back to the battery issue, I wanna have an ordinance or something in place before we just allow one in, and here we go again, you know what I mean?
Sure.
And we greased the wheel with all the wind towers and solar farms. So I think they're coming at us because of that.
So we definitely want that on the agenda, I think, right? I got all the 12 done. Let's go to 13, the appointments, the Labor Relations Committee appointments. Becky, do you have that? Who we put on there? Oh, I don't remember.
I do. Bob, are you looking for who we put on there?
Yes,
Which one? Labor Relations? I've got all of them pulled up here and I got to figure out which one's which here. So the Labor Relations Committee is a committee that is called for in the handbook in case an employee had an issue with a department head. They would then go to the Labor Relations Committee. We had Jim Wentling on that, so we needed to revise that and replace Jim on that. So the current resolution calls for Danielle Allen, Jack Scrogstead, and Katie White. Jack Scrogstead is the replacement there for Jim Wentling. The other two had already been appointed to this committee. This committee only meets if there is an issue with an employee that can't be resolved with the department head.
Any questions with that? So, and we have to do these committee appointments ad hoc by resolution. I don't think we were doing that when I first was chair. So that's why you'll see these resolutions come through. That's per our handbook, why we're doing this. Same thing with the resolution for the American Rescue Plan.
It's a plan, not plan.
Yeah, only plan.
It's on your agenda as planned.
Yeah. That's it. So, I think Mr. Wentley was on that also, and I think we're just doing house cleaning,
Yep.
keeping there.
This resolution also, besides replacing Jim Wentling on this committee, it also clarifies that staff serves in an advisory capacity as opposed to a voting capacity. And it also formalizes an action that you took earlier this year with regard to Sarah Leisner and Patty Rudolphi. Those individuals have been tagged with the responsibility, the clerical and oversight responsibility. So this kind of just formalizes that in the same resolution so that it's on record what their role is going to be.
This will be a good time to segue into your meeting.
It would. Thank you for reminding me. So you're all cordially invited. You'll be receiving an invitation from us in the next, hopefully within the next 5 days. The ARPA staff, consisting of course of Sarah and Patty Rudolphi, Paul Rudolphi, and myself have been meeting to try and figure out how to move some of these great ideas that we're getting forward. And we've come to a stop. The biggest concern we have right now is that we're getting all kinds of great feedback from board members, but it's not necessarily consensus by the part of board members. So what we've proposed doing, and we have Bob's blessing on, is the next ARPA committee meeting, which will be the first Thursday in October. I believe that to be the 6th, but don't quote me on that. Instead of having your regular ARPA meeting, we are going to be doing a strategic planning session. All board members, and for that matter, department heads, will be invited to discuss some of the various proposals that have come forward. And by the time we would leave said meeting, we are going to have, we believe, a real good consensus on the part of this board as to what you would like us to spend these funds on. I've been asking a lot of questions. The one single question I ask of a lot of board members is, if it were up to you and only you, would you spend greater than 50% of this money on the community? Or would you spend greater than 50% of this money on doing things for Lee County government? And I'm getting a real mixed bag. So by the time we leave that meeting, we're hoping to have a real consensus, and that will help staff understand where we should devote our time and energy to developing some of these great proposals. By the way, if you're thinking we're going to be done with that in an hour or two, you're wrong. We're anticipating a longer meeting. We're hoping to entice you all in by free lunch. So what we're currently envisioning, and the invitation will clarify this, we're envisioning starting give or take at about 10 in the morning, going for about an hour and a half, having a lunch brought in, and then wrapping up after lunch, all told, perhaps 4 to 4.5 hours by the time we get wrapped up and have, again, that consensus on the direction where this board would like us to go. So that's our plan. Individual invitations will go out to all board members, hopefully in the next 5 days, as soon as Sarah and myself and Paul and Patty have a chance to refine the timeline of how we're going to do this. There's actually a strategic planning process that we're going to lead you through to get to that consensus. And so we're pretty excited about it. We would love to have all of your participation for that. With that said, I'll turn it back over to Bob. More information to follow in the invitation.
I'm not too excited about the 4 hours. I'll do 2, all right? And then I'm out.
Now, I'm going to feed you lunch. It's going to be great.
You're gonna have to up it if you're gonna get me there at 4. So
Now, we talked about door prizes, but given that we're a government entity, we figured we probably shouldn't be spending taxpayer dollars on door prizes, but we need you here. We need your feedback.
I think the full board needs to be here and go through what it is. There's $6.6 million out there. I think everybody needs to participate
Right.
that can.
So from a
not
staff
out there, it's in
perspective, we
our
figured
account.
Yeah.
that kind of money, we
Three
figured
point
it
three
was
in our
worth it.
account, but we got 3.3 more coming, so.
Yeah, that's right. Half's there.
Okay, so. We're
But
back
just
to,
one last follow-up, Bob, just to clarify. So the board committee members on the ARPA committee are Bob Olson, Jim Sheline, John Nicholson, Chris Norberg, and Rick Humphrey are of the official board members on the committee. Advisory county officials are on there in an advisory capacity. And then, of course, there's Sarah and Patty Rudolphi's capacity, providing that oversight and clerical and financial support.
thank you. So we definitely want that on the agenda. The next is the Renewable Energy Committee resolution, and I think Chris is chair. Who else is on that?
This is one that I did before I left on vacation, and I was waiting for you all to get me who was going to be in it. I don't know.
Who's got it? Somebody's got it.
I've got it. It is Wilson, Chris Norberg chairs, Tom Wilson, Tom Kitson, Danielle Allen, and Katie White.
If anybody else wants to sit on that, Marilyn, if you'd like on that or whatever, somebody. Okay, I'd put Marilyn on that also, so.
So Jim, sorry, would you read that back to me one more time? Who are they?
Chris Norberg, Tom Wilson, Tom Kitson, Danielle Allen, Katie White.
So how many is that? And we got Marilyn. Be 6 with Marilyn. Is that good enough or do you? All right, put John Nicholson on it also. You want it? Fine. All right. I'll sort that out. Let's keep going. We'll have it on there. All right. We definitely want it on there. Let's go to the resolution to reappoint. I think you want to pull this next
Yeah,
one.
I'm going to withdraw that. Our planning commission chair, Bill Oakey, permanently moved to Wisconsin, so he's turned in his resignation. So I'm working on restructuring the commission membership. So at this time, I do want to withdraw the reappointments. resolution.
You're gonna withdraw it? Okay, and I think Mr. Hillison needs to get his W-9 down to Paul or something.
Right.
Yeah, so I would be reluctant to reappoint him until he gets that in there. So,
Going back a couple notches, there, Bob, this moratorium for battery energy storage, do you need motion with that?
no, we're just gonna put all this on the agenda at the end, don't we?
Yep.
Right.
So I'm sorry, Bob. So that reappointment is off for.
Yes, D is off. Okay, the raffle report, I think they passed.
Is that a misprint? I don't even. Your last name's first, you're related to me. I don't know what Ben. I was gonna say, that's not, I don't know what Ben first. There could be one. My dad came from a huge family.
Okay.
I was just curious about it.
You had a brother you didn't know about, huh?
Yeah. Wasn't here the first time.
Yeah, well, it does happen.
This wasn't correct.
So the raffle report to get passed around, it was from the Home of Hope Cancer Wellness Center. Do I need a motion for that or? No, okay. I have no executive session.
Move to approve the agenda.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Michael Bean seconds it. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Need a motion to adjourn.
Oh, my
Doug and Mike, all those in favor?